Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my August 2019 horoscope report for you. It is my intention with this video to give you the things that I think you need to know to help you make this the best month possible and learn some astrology while you're at it. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and see all of the resources I have there, including amazing new and full moon blogs to assist you in maximizing those power periods we have every month. If you are into how I teach and you want to learn for personal or professional purposes, check out my astrology apprenticeship program, also on my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Go to radicalprayerbook.com to see my new book, which is an Amazon bestseller, Radical Prayer, Transform Your Life and the World in 28 Days, which has become a beloved favorite of my fellow spiritual seekers. So what's in the stars for you this month? I'm going to go into lots of details, so let's check them out now. Hello, Taurus friends. Welcome to my August 2019 horoscope report for you. This is going to be one of my favorite months of the whole year regarding the crazy awesome aspects. We have not had a month like this for a long time, and we won't have a month like this for a long time, where the dominance of aspects are just absolutely sweet with very little interference from antagonistic aspects. The heaviness of the eclipse season may still be fading in or fading out because they're very recent, but the emotional energy of the water planets, the emotional energy of the eclipses in July are all really dissipating the further we get into August. And by mid-month, most of that is clear. We've got two new moons that are just brilliantly lighting up new potentials. We have Jupiter going direct, so things, especially in the relationship sectors for Taurus, that may have been moving forward at the beginning of this year that seem to have stalled out, negotiations or contracts or agreements, those are more likely to move forward because Jupiter is going direct. And as Jupiter is going direct, there's going to also be a massive amount of beautiful aspects with Jupiter as it is about to go or going or having gone direct. So just a massive amount of forward movement. If you have to do anything important, launches, big decisions, big moves, anything important of a monumental nature, this is one of my favorite months of the whole year for all of that. So I'm going to talk in detail about happy surprises this month because that's the predominance of the energy, is where these happy surprises are going to show up in the chart for you. So I'm going to go into lots of detail about that. I'll show you the charts. Then I have a special drop-in lesson that has to do with transcending negative astrological wiring. And then I will get back to talk about the general transits, which includes me listing all of those sweet dates so that you can mark your calendar. Okay, so let's look at the charts now. Okay, so many of the things I talk about will be true for all early, middle, and late degree placements, but I am going to break a lot of information down and I'll make a grid to show you the places where there are different manifestation potentials. So our early Tauruses are basically the April born or 0 to 9 degrees. Middle is around May 1st through 10th or 10 to 19 degrees. And late is around May 11th through the rest of the sign or 20 to 29 degrees. And if you are a person who has Taurus moon or Taurus rising and you're wondering if this report is for you, it is. This is for you regardless of what those Taurus placements are. And I always recommend that people watch for their rising sign and their sun sign at bare minimum. And people who want to go deeper, you can watch for your moon sign because each of those charts shows an additional piece of the picture of your astrological potentials for that time. Okay, so my mission for using the charts at this time is to show you a little bit of the overview of the energies and what to expect as how they mix with Taurus energies. And then also to show you the areas where those two little bobbles, those unwelcome surprise jolts can come. And then where the predominance of happy surprise potentials are going to show up in the chart for early, middle, and late degree placements. Okay, so the first thing to know, and I'm just going to use the late degree chart, but what I'm saying is true for everyone, is in general, Leo transits are, I don't want to say annoying per se, but we'll say they're catalysts for Taurus energy because they make 90-degree angles. So from the end of July into a good bit of August, as the planets move through Leo, it's going to be a call to action, okay? And it might make you have to go out of your comfort zone. And that could turn out to be amazing though, because the way that these aspects are coming through, and I'm going to show you what that looks like, this is the best possible scenario because every year at this time, the planets put the pressure on for Taurus because of the planets moving through Leo and making this angle with your Taurus placements. But every year we don't have all of these sweet aspects that are occurring simultaneously. So the odds that you'll do something important and amazing with the pressure that comes up are just astrologically increased and astronomically increased. And the amount of potential that you have for positive things to come in while this pressure is on is really, really high. Okay, so that's the first piece. The second piece is that as the planets move into Virgo, this is a completely different story. So all of these planets are going to move into Virgo soon, and as they do, they are going to make sweet aspects with your Taurus placements. So more towards the end of the month, the energy blends better for you and into September. So expect a lot of sweetness at that time, even if you haven't started to see it show up, and definitely a lot of less pressure, so more ease and more a groove that works for you. Okay. So now we know you're going to have to crack out of your comfort zone. Let's talk about the couple of places where we have those challenging aspects. We'll use the late degree chart. So everything we're talking about right now is still for all of you until I differentiate out. I just want to give you a little overview of what exactly is going to happen here. This planet Taurus is hanging out, or this planet Uranus is hanging out at 6 degrees of Taurus all month. At the beginning of the month, Venus is going to cross that 6-degree point and make a square. Venus rules love, beauty, and money. Okay, so make some eyelashes there for beauty. And we'll put our money sign here. So anyone can have an unwelcome jolt as it relates to this aspect around August 2nd. And then on August 16th, when Mercury gets to this point where it's at 6 degrees and it makes that square with Uranus, jolts, unwelcome news, things that rattle you are more likely. But the fact that the energy of Uranus is fleeting and the fact that these planets move super quick show us that unless you have news that's coming in from the eclipse, which could be more profound and longer term, the energy of the transits that we're talking about are really short-lived. Okay, so if you have something come up from these things, it probably will blow right through. So look out around the 2nd and 16th for some little jolts. But throughout the whole month, we are going to have sweet aspects. And again, I'm using the late degree chart, but for now, I'm talking about all of you in general. So as all of these planets get over to 14 degrees of Leo, they're going to make a trine with Jupiter, which is going to be hanging out around here at 14 degrees. So as they cross over, they kiss Jupiter, and all of this possible expansion can show up in a big way. For you late degree people and some of you middle degree people, this is purely centered around expansion in the relationship sector. So any clients, romantic relationships. And actually this is really true for early, middle, and late, but you can see that, okay, so 7th and 8th houses are the partnership houses, and Jupiter is in the 7th house for lates. It's on the edge there between 7th and 8th for middle. So possible manifestation in either house, but for you early, it's in the 8th house. So things moving forward involving relationships is very likely in August, and then these extra special kisses. So your relationship sector is going to be beautifully smooched. So anything that you have been trying to do, involving, getting help with something, helping other people, developing your client base, finding the perfect practitioners to assist you with anything, there's more likelihood that things with that collaborations will start moving forward, or positive outcomes or forward movement from contractual things or things you've been working out with other people. The early and middle degree placements, you're more likely to have this energy also have something to do with the deeper resources. So money combinations with partnerships, inheritances, spousal money, capital investments, things like that, are all of these partnership areas are lit up for potentials of happy surprises. And for the early and middle, this could be more around also like the shared financial entanglement things. So student loans, any kind of loans, paying off debt, or using credit in order to expand your work in a big way, or something else that you're trying to do. Okay, so that's going to be a big deal. Now, I also want to show you, and actually I'm going to make a grid about this. Let's just put here, so early, middle, and late. Okay, so as Jupiter is making these aspects, so basically what we're talking about is the aspects with Jupiter, but then later in the month and into the beginning of September, as these planets that were in Leo get to 6 degrees of Virgo, they're going to trine Uranus, which is going to bring more potentials for happy surprises. So it's just one thing after another as this wonderful potential. So we're basically looking at 14 degrees of Leo to 6 degrees of Virgo for the span of happy connections here. So that for early is pretty much your 4th and 5th houses. Right, so we're going to put 4th and 5th, and I'll go into what this looks like. I just want to show you on here the houses that are being accentuated. Okay, and we also talked about how the 8th house is being accentuated because of this there. And then for early, we've got some of the 12th or 1st, depending on your exact placement, being accentuated from the Uranus end of the connections. Okay, so these are the houses for early degree, and we'll go back and see what that means, but I just want to lay the foundation here. Okay, so middle degree placements, the 14 degrees through 6 degrees, that's going to also be pretty much 4th and 5th house. Jupiter could be in 7th or 8th, and Uranus is more likely to be in the 12th over here for you all, although you may see some of this as well. 1st house. All right, so now let's look at the late degree, and then we'll roll back to what this means exactly. All right, so we know that Jupiter's in the 7th for the late degree. Gosh, it's gotten a little crowded over here. Okay, so we see the 7th house is aspected with Jupiter, moving forward, relationships. Then we've got the 12th house for Uranus, where the surprises could show up. And over here, 14 degrees through 6 degrees is mostly in the 4th house. You may see some whispers in the 3rd and 5th, but really it's a predominantly 4th house manifestation for you late degree placements. Okay, so now let's talk about what these houses represent. Houses are fields of experience that we have as humans, and as the planets move through and make aspects in those houses, those fields of experience get lit up for us. And since the topic that we're talking about here is happy surprises, these fields of experience are more likely to be lit up with happy surprises. So for the early and middle, this has to do with the 1st house, which is your physical body, your appearance, what you put out into the world, recognition, how people see you, and your relationship with yourself. So happy surprises there. Early, middle, and late, you all have this potential for housing, real estate, homes, home-based business, and if you have a business that has to do with homes, that's also in there. This can also have to do with family. So happy family surprises. Now remember, in between here, as we're talking about the happy surprises, there are those 2 jolts that are going to be around the same areas that could be like, whoa, that's not a happy surprise. But like I said, because they're fleeting and they're in the minority here, you know, if something comes up, it's more likely that something sweet will resolve it. Okay, so for the early and middle, we also have the 5th house accentuated, and that has to do with children, creativity, creative projects, hobbies, child rearing, pregnancies, things like that. Also working with children, even if they're not your own children. Romance, fun, and there's a special connection with acting and fashion and design for, just basically things that are going to be seen by a lot of people, or things that would put you being seen by a lot of people. I like to call this house also the bucket list house because it's just the things that light you up, that make you feel creatively alive. We talked about how the partnership sections are lit up for all early, middle, and late degree placements, with the middle and late really focused more on the actual relationship, so pulling in people that you need, win-wins in relationships, resolutions to arguments and problems, and opportunities for combining with people in wonderful ways. And then the early and middle, you've got more of this kind of resources, entrenchment of resources. And that 8th house too, you early and middle friends, that can have to do with winnings. So sweepstakes and just winning anything, or having support or resources that somebody else has that's helping to support your vision. All right, so then all early, middle, and late have a chance for the slight jolts, but then the overwhelmingly happy surprises or resolutions to those jolts in your 12th house, which is the psychological house, which has to do with your fears, which could mean like overcoming a fear, a spiritual transformation, some kind of greeting a problem in your being, and then winning the battle within yourself, clearing up of addictions or addictive energies, something coming from deep that gives you an insight, like psychological breakthroughs. I love this house for things like past life regression and hypnosis, and using subliminal programming for working to master your mind, and counseling and things like that. Sometimes the breakthrough can be just random, and it could just happen spontaneously. But since you know the potentials are there, if you do inner work, which I'm a huge fan of, I cannot separate astrology and inner work and coaching, because I am just so familiar with how we could have potentials, and your degree of integration internally can definitely affect how you experience those potentials externally. But this is an amazing time for wonderful breakthroughs, and even things going on in secret that are working for your good, like people talking about you, and it will eventually get back to you, that there's like a positive buzz about you, something in the backdrop that's going on that's positive. So a wonderful month, one of my favorite months of the whole year. If you have to do anything important, take action, make commitments, especially towards mid-month and after. Anything having to do with big steps, or having to do something with all the potentials that came from the eclipses. I love, love, love this month. Lots of new energy with the new moons as well. And with Jupiter going direct, things that started to lag, especially in the relationship sectors, can start to move forward in a big way. Negotiations and things with your involvement with others can really start to expand, like they may have started in the beginning of the year, and then it just sort of faded into the backdrop. Okay, so now I have a special treat for you. I'm going to drop in a lesson about overcoming or transcending negative astrological programming. So if you found that you hear astrologers talk about positive things and you're seeing more negative potentials, then you really want to understand how you can have more of an active role in your destiny and shift that around. So if you're not interested in that, then that's fine. I do think you'll be crazy missing out. But if you want to fast forward until you see me back on the screen, that is when you will get the general transit info that includes those sweet dates this month, so you can mark your calendar for those. Okay, welcome to my special section on transcending negative astrological patterning. This has been a focus of mine for the entire time I've been doing astrology, which has been almost 2 decades now. I have always gone into astrology as a self-development tool, understanding what's going on so that we can use the information to create the best experience from it. Now, the more you follow astrology and you start to see the amount of things that are true that you can see in there, both from your wiring and the things occurring in the stars, then some people will start to get a fatalistic attitude towards it and think, wow, since all of that's in there, I must be doomed to continue experiencing that. And for many people and in many instances, that is actually occurring if you are not actively clearing the negative astrological patterning. There's a very complicated discussion as to what it is we bring in with us astrologically and where those pieces come from. But for this discussion, I'm going to focus on strictly the genes, the DNA, the genetics, okay? So this has to do with our ancestry, our bloodline, and things we pull in genetically. Now, we don't just pull in medical issues genetically. We don't just pull in how we look genetically. I believe that we pull in belief systems, and as we are imprinted with these potentials in the genes, we are then in a situation where nurture, our environment, can help to express those potentials or help to express different potentials. So, if you're feeling trapped in something that has been a pattern in your life, whether or not you also notice that that was a pattern in your genealogy, there are ways that you can get the better end of that. If there's something awesome programmed in, like you're a math wizard or an artistic genius, then yeah, we want to keep that, right? But we're talking about the negative astrological patterning, these belief systems that are creating our reality, a lot of times completely out of our awareness. And even when you start to become aware that it's in there and you're creating from it, the task of clearing it up is, very rigorous self-development. But it can be done. Those subconscious programs have to be dealt with because those are creating the environment for your cells, for your DNA to actually express. So I want to talk about a scientist. His name is Bruce Lipton. He's a stem cell biologist. You can find Bruce Lipton on YouTube. You can get his book, The Biology of Belief. Okay, this is landmark stuff here. And it directly relates to astrology because astrology shows us genetics, that we come in with. And I'm seeing this more and more all the time. All kinds of genetic issues and genetic tendencies are being carried over. You can see them in the chart. Okay, so the biology of belief, you can find that to go deeper into this. But basically what happened, okay, so I'll give you the story of what's gone on because this is going to help empower you with the goal of transcending negative astrological patterning to understand this from a scientific perspective. Okay, so the basis of the biology of belief is that genes do not control life. Okay, that's a big bomb, right? Big bomb. So when Bruce Lipton was doing experiments that brought this epiphany, he was going into a cell and removing the structure called the nucleus. Okay, so the nucleus is the structure that contains the genes. So if genes control life and you throw away the nucleus, then there shouldn't be anything to control life in the cell, right? Okay. So he explains that there's a joke that the cells can live for 2.5 more months with no genes at all. And they still carry out all of the complexities of life. Move around, eat, breathe, just they move through life. So then the first thing you have to ask is who's controlling the cells if it's not the genes, right? So this is a really big deal. Okay, so then the big boom for him came where he had, so basically he would put stem cells, isolate one stem cell and put it in a petri dish. Okay, then it would divide every 10 hours and after a few days he'd have thousands of cells. All right, so they're multiplying, they're dividing. So they all came from one cell, meaning they were genetically identical. So then he got to where there's like 10,000 cells in a petri dish, okay? Then he would separate out the cells into 3 petri dishes. Okay, so he takes them from there and he puts them in there. Okay, so now these are genetically identical cells. Okay, this is the thing to note. Then what he did is he changed the growth medium. Okay, so the liquid in there, he changed. He made, so the cells are identical, but he changed the growth medium. Okay, so that's basically the constituents of the environment. All right, so these red and orange and green pieces, or matter here, that is representing different environments. Same cells, genetically identical, different environments. So then what happened was, the first dish formed bone. The second dish formed muscle. And the third dish formed fat. All right, so hopefully you're getting this. This is clicking, because this is like, it's mind-boggling stuff. Identical. And then they formed all these completely different outcomes based on their environment. So what he is saying, and I concur, is that our environment is what is calling the shots. Now, of course, there are other factors, and we could nitpick and look at, and analyze, and nothing is as simple as one way, right? But this is a huge piece. So this means that if we change our inner environment and be mindful of our outer environment, we can start to change how the astrological potentials manifest for us in the form of our life and our experience. Okay, it's very exciting. Okay, so a basic summary is the environment includes a massive amount of factors, and we won't get into them all now. But included in the environment is our perceptions, which are shown when we look at the astrology. When we're looking at a chart, all of the different placements in there, different signs and houses, they're showing us a tendency towards perceptions. And even the outer transits, when they're happening in the sky, when planets are getting together, certain configurations, they tend to create us having a tendency towards certain perceptions. A perception might be we're excited, hopeful. A perception might be we're like a victim and there's a tyrant, so these different tendencies to have a perception, we can see those astrologically. So the tendency to have a certain perception is synonymous with karma. If we see something a certain way, we draw to us certain experiences. So basically, changing perceptions changes karma and changes the DNA expression, which changes potentials, which changes outcomes. So we can basically have more say in our lives by changing our perceptions. Seeing how the perceptions we have are creating our experiences. And sometimes they're deep inner, unconscious, subconscious perceptions, but you're having a certain perception because of the outcome. Like if you are having trouble with money, inside you have a perception that you can't earn money, that you, for whatever different reasons, if you have a perception inside that you can't trust partners, well, then you pull in people that aren't trustworthy, things like that. So pinpointing perceptions, which you can do very nicely with astrology, shifting the perceptions with tools, like I always, suggesting EFT and many other things, help to change those perceptions. And that changes the environment, which affects the whole cascade. It's very empowering. It does create a need for accountability, though. Like, our current circumstances are sourced within us and outside of us, but because that's part of the environment, but our inner environment, we can affect our perceptions and then we can still change all of that. So you can see from all of this why I always talk about inner work and why I can't separate astrology from coaching or suggesting inner work and self-development, because how you experience the stars is going to depend on your perceptions. And if you want to have a better experience, you have to change the perceptions. Well, then you have to use the tools to change the perceptions. And that goes from a victim mentality to true empowerment, that we have the power. So you have the power. You have the power to change your life. You just have to be diligent, consistent with effective inner tools. I'm calling the theme of August 2019 for all signs, happy surprises abound. This is one of my favorite months of the whole year for sweetness and magic and wonderful things. There are way more sweet aspects this month than there are salty ones. And in fact, we really only have two little troublemakers that I'm most concerned about, where everything else is just sweet. Now, do note that because we are so soon after the eclipses, that earth-shaking eclipse news can still be coming in from July, but they're not coming in from the aspects in August. Those are carryovers from these major events in July. If you haven't already watched my June and July reports, then definitely check that out, because there are pieces in there that are very relevant for this whole period of time. And in the June report, I go into the details about how each eclipse worked your sign individually. So I see those reports as a sister companion to this report as well. So this is a very unusual month. It's very rare that we have like at least 12 beautiful aspects and only 2 difficult ones. So we do have a couple of things to look out for. So I'm going to go into those things. The first thing we need to know is, besides the eclipse changes that are coming in and are starting to set foot, that's definitely still very current in August. If you had things come to you in July and you were holding off to officially sign or to officially put things into motion for the opportunities that came to you in July, I love the middle of August and after for that. There are some sweet days in the first half of August, but those are for more short-term contracts or ones of lower stakes. I am going to go into the dates that I love most for what here in a second, but just be aware that Mercury went direct right at the very end of July. So really at the beginning of August, we're very much covered in Mercury retrograde, and really until August 15th, there's, confusion or uncertainty or still ironing things out, or kind of like temporary or bridge agreement type of energies. But it is a good time to wrap things up, but a lot of new things are also going to be coming in. So that's exciting. So the whole month is definitely very sparkly with zesty Leo energy. And this is burning bright with creative potential. This is, a wonderful month full of the combination of zest from Leo and grounding Virgo. And whenever we have energy like that, it really helps us to be super productive, because there are so many potentials crackling around, but then we also have this, wherewithal and focus to do something about it. So it can really bring substance to that glowing creative potential. It's a truly magical time in the cosmos. So this is one of my favorite months of the whole year for taking big steps, for basking in glory of events that led up to come to fruition now. So basically for projects that have a shorter term intention, like a 6 to 9 month project, or something that is just a carryover of something you've been working on, August 7th, 8th, 11th, and 13th could be great for that. For the ones that you are doing like a major launch, big steps, life-changing decisions, long-term things, long-term commitments, my favorite dates are the 21st, the 26th, the 28th, the 30th, and the 31st. So you can also get a write-up of the dates, why I like the dates, what could happen around those times, and other things to look out for a month ahead in your inbox when you sign up for my free email newsletter. So when you go to AnnieHelpsYou.com, you will get my write-up a month before the actual month, so you can have a written version of my general transit report for you. Plus you get my 28-day virtual coaching program called Shine for free when you sign up for my free email newsletter. So you can check that out at AnnieHelpsYou.com. So drama and stress are more likely in the days around August 2nd and August 16th. those are the only times where, and now, like I said, not to say that drama can't come from something in your personal chart. Our personal chart is something that we can't really take into consideration when we're looking at horoscopes, because there are so many individual factors in your individual chart that we can't see in the horoscopes. But from the general horoscope perspective, it's very clear sailing. So I'm just going to point out the challenging ones. On August 2nd, we have this Venus in Leo squaring Uranus in Taurus. So even though the theme of this month is happy surprises abound based on all the sweet energy and also a lot of sweet aspects with Uranus, which is why I have the word surprise in there, because Uranus tends to bring surprises. When it's in a challenging aspect, sometimes those surprises are not welcome. And this August 2nd one could be unpleasant or jostling, especially in the areas of money or love or your certainty within yourself. So definitely also guard your physical body with extra care and walk with more awareness, okay? Because it's more likely that something will come flying from a window when you're walking, or, you know, that you just have to pay more attention at this time and guard your physical body. And also just be aware that some bumps might come in that the areas of love and beauty and money. The second one that, again, this is an aspect with Uranus. This energy is very much the energy of surprises. And if you've been watching my reports over the last few months, you'll notice I've been using the word surprise a lot. And that's because eclipses bring them in. Sometimes they bring in something that we've expected and hoped for. And in that way, it's not exactly a surprise, but when it actually comes to fruition, it kind of feels like a surprise. So, but then sometimes eclipses also bring in surprises where we're like, we don't really like that. But eclipses have a similar energy to the planet Uranus, and Uranus brings in just like things out of the blue, you know, jolts to your nervous system. And sometimes those are happy jolts, like I said, when they're in sweet aspects, but when they're in these challenging ones, that's when you got to watch out. So we have two of those challenging ones this month, the first and the second. First one is on the 2nd of August, and the second is on August 16th. Now, since that one on August 16th is energetically combined with the full moon in Aquarius, that could be, even though it's a positive full moon in a lot of ways, and I love it for a lot of reasons, this combination of this other aspect being near it is a mixed bag, because you could have something sweet occurring at the same time as the surprise comes in. And since it's in Mercury, it rules news. It also rules mobility. So like being extra careful when walking and driving. And, you know, this is the standard place where we warn, don't text and drive. Don't walk and text. Don't be on your bike texting. Things where your physical body really needs to be minded more, or other people's. This is a time where you don't want to push your luck. So shocking news and other events are more likely. I have seen this manifest as a pleasant surprise, even though it's a difficult angle, but one that brings either exhaustion or some sense of like overdoing, or like you're being challenged in the way that something surprise has come in, but now you have to make room for it in an otherwise also very busy schedule already. So I have seen it manifest that way. But everything else is just sweet, 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 sweet. So those are the things that are most on my mind for the general transits, is just a lot of sweetness. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, sign up for my free email newsletter. You'll get to see more details about why I like those days that I listed, and what my why I think that they're amazing times for launches. So I go into like an itemized look at each day and each transit in that report. So if you love the way I teach and you want to learn astrology for personal or professional purposes, I can train you how to be a professional astrologer, and I can also assist you to just use it for yourself and your friends. You can check my program out, Astrology Apprenticeship Program, at anniehelpsyou.com. And if you like written horoscopes by me, you can go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. And a month early, I have up more simple, less detailed, but still very helpful, because they're written and they've got very important pieces. And a lot of times I talk about different things for your sign than I talk about in the videos. So they're complementary in that way. So you can check those things out. Look at my book, radicalprayerbook.com, or you can just search for Annie Botticelli, Radical Prayer on Amazon. My wonderful little book of prayers and affirmations to help you live in your highest expression. You can see that at radicalprayerbook.com. And check out my husband's website, B.R. Newman, I Am Helios, IAMHELIOS.com, where you can see all the goodies and the things that he's getting himself into now that will be very helpful for you as well. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye!